What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Wildcat Cave. You could say that college basketball is a bit like the Wild West this year, with over half of the top 10 teams losing in the same week, top 10 teams having a losing record in true road games, and just the normal insanity that comes with the sport. And if college basketball is the Wild West, I guess that makes Kentucky the John Wayne of the NCAA. Today we'll look at the good, the bad, and the ugly for Kentucky basketball. As always, guys, go ahead and click the subscribe button down below. March will be here before you know it, and you're not going to want to miss out on anything we have going on here. So be sure to be subscribed and click the notification bell. Also, Wildcat Cave is officially on X, or Twitter if you still call it that, at Wildcat Cave BBN. So head on over there and follow us there as well for more Kentucky updates and channel news. And before we jump into this, guys, and you guys jump all over me in the comments, yes, I know it's Clint Eastwood in the movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, not John Wayne, but you get my point. Kentucky is the biggest name in college basketball, but that doesn't protect you from having your ups and downs. We'll start with the good. The good news is this week is we got a tough road win at Arkansas. It doesn't matter how bad Arkansas is or that they had two players quit. If you can walk into Bud Walton Arena and get a win, it doesn't matter. That is a good thing. It shows that you can survive tough road environments, which it was. They had a good fan base, a good crowd there. They were up a lot of the game, and the crowd was into it all the way until the last minute. So anytime you can walk away with a tough road win in the SEC, that's a positive thing. Another thing is our lineups. Cal, we've had a lot of discussion this past week about it's time to start narrowing guys down. We saw in the Arkansas game, Justin Edwards has a leg injury that caused him not to start, but he could still play. And then he just sat out against Florida for the entire game. And it seems like Cal is starting to find his rotational pieces, and guys' minutes are starting to get cut back. And when it becomes March, you can't be playing 10 guys. We talked about it a ton in the last video, and it's been all over social media this week. Cal seems to have finally began to cut that lineup down to 6, 7, maybe 8 guys, and that's a good thing. It allows guys to play through mistakes, build chemistry, and get in a flow, and I think that's really benefited us in the past couple games. And then lastly, for the good, is we just have a ton of talent and scoring and depth that no other team in the country can really match us with. We're easily the most talented team in the country. There's more NBA players on this roster than any other team in the country. Scoring, we've shown that we're like the second best Division I scoring team, averaging 91 a game. Now, we did have 2 games where we didn't do that, but we got back on track against Florida, even though that was an awful loss. But we've shown that we can score with literally any team in the country. And then depth. Like I know we just mentioned that narrowing down the lineups is a good thing, and that's true. Any given night, you only want to play 7 or 8 guys. But the good news is we have those 8, 9, and 10 pieces that are decent enough to play, even if you don't need them every single night. But there could be a game where that 8th man changes, and we have the depth to do that. For the bad, number one, to me, I think this is insane, is how awful we are at finishing at the rim. DJ blows all of our guards, not just DJ. We blow by our man. We miss layups. We have shots blocked. I think against Florida last night, we just had, we were 4 for 5 on dunk attempts and then 10 for 22 on layups. How in the world is a team this talented and this good missing over half of their layups? We're not talking 3-pointers. If you go 10 for 22 from 3, that's great. If you go 10 for 22 on layups, that is not good, not acceptable. We have to be able to finish at the rim. If you finish at the rim, you probably start blowing teams out, and we just aren't right now. I know these layups are contested, but it doesn't matter. These are shots that are gimmies, and you have to make 75 to 80% or more if you want to really, really be able to finish games and make runs. Another thing for the bad category is honestly our IQ, and I don't think these guys are dumb or don't know how to play basketball. They clearly do, but it seems like our decision making, especially late, is just bad. I watched in the Florida game last night, Trey Mitchell is in the block having to tell our guards where to go on defense and when to rotate. He had to take people and literally push them, point out who they're supposed to be guarding, and our guards are dribbling into corners. We're dribbling under the rim and picking up our dribble. or getting trapped. That's just low IQ stuff. And like I said, I don't think these are dumb basketball players or they don't know how to play. We're just not, our basketball IQ isn't super high. Now, like I said, we do have those guys. I think Reed Sheppard has a really high IQ. I think Trey Mitchell obviously has a really high basketball IQ. But it seems like a lot of these guys are just used to being better than everybody they play against, and they can get away with stuff like that, and they just can't at this level. Also, for bad is our odds of winning the SEC. Now that we've taken that loss to Florida, the door was wide open for us after Tennessee lost to South Carolina, and now that door has slammed right back shut. Barring some crazy end of the season, SEC run, I don't think we have a chance to win the SEC regular season anymore. Now, the tournament is, of course, still up for grabs, but the SEC regular season, I think, is kind of out of the question. And then lastly, for this category, is we just don't have a consistent half-court offense. Our half-court offense is bad. Now, a lot of the times we can still get our shots off because we have so many weapons and it's impossible to double, and we hit hard shots and we can hit threes. But overall, especially, again, late in games or late in shot clocks, our half-court offense is just kind of hopefully somebody beats their man and we either miss the layup or we kick out for a three, which seems to be the better of the two options. So we got to find a way that when teams slow us down, we can still score in a half court. And then the ugly. This one isn't specific to our team, but just overall, I think the SEC officiating has been as bad, if not worse, this year than it is any year. Now, I'm not blaming the officials for any losses that we have this year, but just you watch these games and you have a game where Trey Mitchell gets elbowed in the face and it's a cylinder foul on him, and then he tries to spin and hit somebody in the face and then it's a flagrant on him. There's just no winning with these officials. It's bad calling, maybe just bad rulemaking, but overall the biggest problem in the officiating to me is just nothing is called consistent game to game or even half to half, it seems like, or even team to team at times it feels that way. But there's just no consistency. It seems to be getting worse. These referees have no accountability whatsoever. And again, this isn't specific to Kentucky, but I just think it's something that had to be addressed. And then back to something that is specific to Kentucky is something I've referenced now a bunch is our late game execution. We had a 4-point lead with less than 30 seconds to go. There is no excuse to lose that game last night against Florida. There's no excuse to even go to overtime. If you were up 4 under a minute, you finish that game, you win. Even if it goes to overtime like it did, you walk out of that place with a win. You defend Rupp, and you win that game. And it's shown time and time again. It showed in all of our losses, Kansas, UNC Wilmington, A&M. We had chances to put the game away, and we didn't. I don't know what our problem is under 2 minutes and a half or in the game, but we just fall apart. We can't score. We clearly don't defend, and we lose games that way. You're going to have games in March that you have to be able to do that, and if you don't, you're looking at a first or second round exit because every team is going to bring their best against Kentucky, and we have to be able to stop that. And then talking about stopping it, the last thing for the ugly category is our defense of any kind. We have zero ability to guard or stop anybody at any point in time. If you watch the final play of regulation last night, as great as Reed Sheppard was on offense, he was miserable on defense. You know that the one guy who has already hit 4, 5, or 6 3-pointers is going to be the guy to take the shot, and Reed is supposed to be guarding him and is probably 10 foot from him when he catches the ball. In that situation, you cannot let him have a wide open three. And not only that, I watched another play in the game with Reed where his guy was at the 3-point line. Reed is 5 foot off of him. The guy dribbles, and Reed does not move his feet until the guy is past him on the block going up for a layup. And it's not just Reed. I don't want to just pick on him. It's DJ. It's pretty much everybody. Antonio is not a terrible defender, but he's far from great, and he's probably our best guard, which isn't good. Our bigs, outside of Ugo blocking shots, they get beat. Trey Mitchell's not a great defender. It's our sole defender on this team is Ugo at the rim. He had 8 or 9 blocks last night, I believe, and that is our only source of defense right now. If this team wants to make a run that we all hope they can, something's going to have to change defensively. We have Final Four championship level offense, and I believe Jay Billis made this point. but we have round of 64 or round of 32 defense. That's all going to get you bounced when it comes to the tournament. You're going to have teams that can score. You have to be able to stop them, and right now, I just don't know that we can. Now, I say all of this to say that there's plenty of basketball left. So I don't want to make any grand conclusions or write this team off just yet. This team has the ability to beat anybody in the country, and that makes them dangerous. But the amount of teams that can beat us is troublesome. Our good is great, and our bad may be some of the worst of the Calipari era, and our ugly, well, that's going to get you beat in March. But like I said, there's plenty of time between now and the tournament. I haven't given up on this team, and neither should you. Tennessee comes to town Saturday. If you can win that one and then rattle off a few more, then maybe you heat up at the right time of the season like we've seen Kentucky do in the past. If teams like FAU, St. Peter, and Loyola can all make runs, there's no reason in hell a Kentucky team who has more talent in scoring than any team in the country can't do that as well. That is going to wrap up this video. Thank you all for watching. This team is going to be a roller coaster all year long, so click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out. Let me know in the comments if you still think this team can make a Final Four or if I left anything out of the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll see you guys next week. Go Cats.